Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today at our Food and Talk Story for Growth in Self and Activism with Alex Sosa and moderated by myself. Today's talk story is brought to you by 90.1 FM KTUH Honolulu. That's the on-campus radio station here at the University of Hawai at Manoa, the Matanaga Institute for Peace, and myself, the Conflict and Peace Specialist. With that being said, I realize I should introduce myself. My name is José Barzola. I am the Conflict and Peace Specialist here at the University of Hawai at Manoa, where I provide conflict services and programming, and it's been a wonderful journey to just connect with our community and specifically our students as different initiatives they have, and just to see where those journeys kind of go, those peace building journeys. Today's talk is about a conversation with Alex Sosa, who's also known as DJ Ono, who's the general manager at KTUH. It's a talk story about Aloha, ʻāina, public health, and being a return back to school. Alex will share about his Food and Talk Story project. The project has become more of a journey into building stronger relationships, a journey of a documented food prepared and shared, and then a talk story that delves into one's life journey and significance of the dish, an opportunity to gain insights into personal narratives and how we can grow in our own lives and within our communities. Shortly, I'll also in the chat add the links so you can later on listen to the conversations that he had. They're just audio only between some of the folks. That's like the behind the scenes that kind of led up to this event. Alex is currently majoring in public health with a focus on Hawaiian and Indigenous cultures at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, where he strongly advocates for community engagement. Alex strongly believes that passion drives change. He also serves as the general manager and DJ Ono at KTUH, a student-run and led radio station here at the university. Prior to the university, Alex obtained a certificate in public health from Kapi Community College, while at KTC, he led as student Congress president during the pandemic, focusing on campus safety and social services. One of the other things that Alex, I just realized, didn't mention, he's getting his undergrad certificate in peace studies here at the Matanaga Institute for Peace, which is an academic department that offers courses on peace and conflict resolution. As part of one of his requirements, his practicum or internship, this is kind of how everything kind of came together. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Alex, but just with a question initially. So Alex, thanks so much for being here today. Could you just tell us a little bit about what you learned from your food and talk story journey?
For sure. Again, aloha to everyone and just mahalo for having me. I really appreciate the space and time. I learned a lot from this particular project. I learned not only about other people's reflection process, I also learned about my own healing journey, and how I could be of service and not only be able to transmute that into something positive, because one thing that I love to make are stories with people about their experiences and also just see how what resonates for me and why did the universe bring these particular people into my space.
Thank you. Might you share a little bit about how you went about selecting the folks that came into your world during this
For
journey?
sure, for sure. So, my first guest, so Tiffany actually I met through Kumu Zephani's class and then the piece of building negotiation class, which I highly recommend everybody take that class. That class, I've said this multiple times. So both my parents passed away. My father passed away when I was 12. My mother passed away when I was 19. Um, that class taught me how to speak, and it taught me how to, not that I didn't know how to speak or use my voice. It allowed me to put words to ways that I would communicate that I didn't know existed. Tiffany's, I met Tiffany through that particular class. And then if you listen to the talk story, she talks about, meeting me initially. And then once she got to know me, her perspective, which, if you ever do meet me in person, I can be very balls to the wall per se. I'm not rude, but I'm I'm not scared, if that's probably the best way to describe it. Um, and then as far as Jasmine, I actually met Jasmine at one of the free dinner lunches that we had through the Matsunuga Institute, which was amazing because again, like when I initially had met her, it was just, oh, hi, my name's Jasmine. Oh, nice to meet you. And it was simply that. And reaching out to her again, thank goodness for Jose, because Jose facilitated that and connected us. And yeah, that was a really awesome experience to talk story with her, and then also to get her perspective of how her coursework within the Pache education, or the Pache program, how it's benefited her. And so yeah, it was really interesting to talk story with her and just see how what we both took from that experience.
Thank you so much for just a couple different things. I mean, for sharing one about opening up about your own life and your losses. Uh, I noticed from listening to the talk story, which was a very enjoyable, about 2.5 hours that I spent kind of just taking it in. I love the power of reflection or introspection that you practice, along with something that I've been sharing with a lot of folks, practicing gratitude along with that, along your journey. And I greatly appreciate you for that. And I think I love your candor and how just straight to the point. uh, so not only from your style of hosting the talk story, but also it evolved in your speakers. And I love how it got emotional. It got real. So your talk story, you do real talk with KTUH, and so exactly that. You provided what you told people from the forefront. So thank you for just being so whole and honest in this process and everything that you do. I just need to kind of share that with you. So a little bit about some questions that kind of came about as I was like listening to this. Well, we talked about, you talked about food, and I kind of wondered what was like your all-time favorite food or meal.
So it's really interesting. In Jasmine's particular story, or even in Tiffany's, they reverted back to, significant people in their lives. For me, I'm a Kapuna baby, so my parents were, I was adopted, and so my parents were much older, and they came from a different time. So my mother and my father and I, we would eat all of our meals together, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There was like so every one of my meals was a homemade meal. Um, for me, I probably dare to say that I have three favorite meals, and I think I mentioned it one time in one of the talk stories. Hands down, I love chicken tenders. My mom would make, she would her own chicken tenders. She'd have her own batter. Um, that's just and I mean that's even I think why, and even now as an adult I love chicken tenders. A good chicken tender, because I discriminate when it comes to chicken tenders. um we hear a lot of folks about burgers. So in my, again, growing up, my mom, everything was homemade. So like my mom would basically, make her own patties, and it's everything was very well seasoned, fresh cut tomatoes and onions and fresh crisp lettuce. My mom, so my parents, I grew up in the country, and so like everything we cooked on wasn't on a cast iron skillet. And so like even the buns would be, toasted on both sides. Like it was a whole production. And so like I grew up with that, even like our taco night. My mom would have a block of cheese and she would like hand grate it, and hand slice everything. And it was just, I don't know anything different. So for me, it's really hard to say that like one dish when I grew up having um I grew up having the best childhood ever.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for sharing not only your memories, but also just so heartedly your emotions. And thank you. Um, I feel like I have not had good chicken tenders now. I've never had a homemade chicken tenders. I sadly just get like the $5 Friday stuff, and so and I imagine it's better than that.
Considerably. I mean, again, like going back to French fries, I mean, my mom would hand cut each potato,
Oh,
and
that's so
I
beautiful.
don't know anything different. So it's
Yes,
Monica
yes.
really
joined the
how
meeting.
maybe I have like really high standards, but
No.
um, yeah, I just I'm incredibly lucky for the experience that I have had.
Thank you. Yeah, no, your journey with food, really, all I could think about as I was listening to is like, what are some of the best meals I've had? And I just kept thinking about how after I've had those amazing like home cooked meals, and many, yes, they are many times home cooked meals by a friend's parent or, an auntie and uh, my own parents, and it's just you kind of it it's like a time capsule. It kind of captures those memories, that moment in time for me, and almost to the point where like nothing I eat after that. That's it's like I had tempura one time, and I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, the rest of this stuff just doesn't cut it. I'm not even gonna bother. Like maybe you know, uh, and so it's fascinating how food just evokes so much emotion and memories and yeah, so thank you for guiding us into this journey with you, and just being so honest through it all. um One of the questions that you kind of asked the folks, that I kind of wanted to ask you as well, like um what would you say to your younger self?
That's a loaded question. I would have
I know
to.
you're about to graduate, so that's kind of like, I know it's a milestone that you're achieving and next stage of life. So yeah, I just any words of wisdom for your younger self?
I would ask which which younger self, because I think
Oh,
and I say that's only because when I lost my father, um I didn't realize how fast. I realized that my life had shifted. Um being so young, I wasn't fully aware to like the extreme that it would shift. And I was a mama's boy. Like I did everything with my mom. Like you know, my mom taught me, especially after my father passed away, to really, once I became the man of the house, she really taught me to really become a man. Um, I grew up on a farm, and so, it was me and my mom dealing with the goats. And this is a really fun fact about me. There was a time that I could, definitely shave a full-grown sheep from, start to finish in under about a minute and a half. Um, yeah, I mean, I, I would say that to answer your question, I would need to know which younger self you want to talk to, because each one of them, they're different things that I would impart upon
okay. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Your sheep fun fact would make for a really good icebreaker at some point.
them.
Um, I, as I alluded to a little bit, I know you're about to graduate, and it doesn't mean I'm not asking what are you doing next, but what do you foresee the future holds for you? Whether it's food journey, whether it's, just life in general, just what?
So I got into grad school. I'm very grateful for that. Again, I never thought myself to be in this space. Um, So I got into grad school. Grad school is definitely part of the plan for the fall semester. I've reapplied for the position here at KTUH. I've been able to do really amazing work, so I really want to be able to continue that process. Um, I want to get into professional radio in some capacity. My intention by the end of the year is to start becoming an opener as a DJ as well. Fun fact. Um, and yeah, I really am just I'm going back into that hibernate nation. I'm hibernating again, where I'm just it's really funny because as I was walking up to my office to get ready for this, I had realized that all of my visions, I do everything based off of vision. So they come to me either in a dream or Hoalona happens. So there's a sign, a very specific sign, and the universe knows that I'm very kolohe. I'm very hard-headed sometimes, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm not interested. And then it comes back again, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I've reached a place in my life where all of the visions that I've had, they have all manifested. I literally last night, I was in the space because I'm opening the Mauna Kea Education Awareness exhibit that I'm hosting in collaboration with them and ASUH here in Hemingway Hall at noon. If you have nothing to do, please come by. And a dream that I had a year ago was literally like playing itself back out. And, you know, all of the dreams and visions that I've had are now for future things. And so I'm waiting for the universe has a very interesting way of sending people to me, of telling me that the next phase has begun. And so that message has already been given to me. It's just I'm waiting for the other parts to align themselves.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, I hope folks in the community, or if you're on campus, please join us. It's going to be at Hemingway Hall from 12 to 4 today, May 1st. So please come through.
Please do from 12:30 to 2. So it's in Hemingway Hall. We're going to be serving a full Hawaiian plate. So lau stew, white rice. We're gonna have dessert. We're gonna have chicken long rice. We're gonna have drink for
Usually
dessert.
if you say a Hawaiian plate, I think folks are like, I'm there. So
I
thank
mean,
you.
because so I mean, if anything you know about me is that if you really want me to show up, provide food.
and
And
and yeah, and that's how you showed up for us, so thank you for when we had folks on campus. We have a question in the audience from our good old friend Auntie Maya, who's sitting in Manoa and grateful for the storytelling. Ask, can you speak more about any insights you've had about food for peace, perhaps as a bridge toward friendship, international people-to-people diplomacy, or inclusion?
for sure. So it's really funny. So I made a deal with my mom uh, when I was younger, especially once I understood the concept of death. And so my mother begrudgingly started providing me different types of training. And so my mother taught me how to cook everything. And she always reminded me about my education. Um, and so my mother would always say that, you know, through making these dishes and education would be the one thing that no one could ever take from me. And so I have seen that, especially in my talk stories, um, that food becomes a place of resilience for folks. It allows them not only whether to grieve, it allows them the opportunity to share a part of themselves. And I think that that can be interpreted in multiple ways. You know, in Tiffany's particular story, she was talking about her auntie that she had met in Spain, you know, who was an older individual and was still living a full, vibrant life going out, you know, and she was a kapuna going out, partying, not want to say partying, but she definitely was going out for a drink, you know, and you could see the strength behind that. And uh, having that talk story with her, it took her back, and it was a way of almost like I'm a big person in offering, so I feed my akua and my amakua all the time. And so it's a way of not only honoring them wherever they are on that soul journey, but it's also about one thing that I've learned a lot about this semester is about my own self healing and my journey. And so I'm definitely grateful to Kumumaya for that because um I've been going so hard 95% of my life that I wouldn't say I forgot myself or how to take care of myself. I forgot how to take a breath. And that has made me has allowed me to be a better listener. It's allowed me to control my reactions and how I move into a space. I not that I couldn't read the room before. I'm definitely more keenly aware of reading the room. Um, the lesson that I've lately been learning is to learn how to collaborate even when people don't want to collaborate with you. And that's been probably someone that's very cool like me. And what cool means is to be very strong, to be very firm, to be steadfast. Um, there's a softness in that. And that's something that it's really funny. Last semester I joked that I was entering my soft boy Pele era. Because if you know anything about Pele, Pele is very strong. It's a force. It comes with the quickness, and it's about regeneration. And sometimes um I'm thinking about the chant Aikamumu, which means transformation. Um I've been in a very transformative space for a long time in my life. And food has allowed me, that vehicle has allowed me to not only heal parts of myself, to allow other people to see that they can also be soft, no matter where or how difficult their life journey has been. Is it has allowed, one thing that I especially do, especially when I bring people for tours from high school, I remind them that English is not my first language. English is my third language. And a brown boy from the country who couldn't speak English is running a radio station, and you can too. If you have a story that you want to talk story about and you really want to embark on that journey, you really can too. The sky is the limit. It's just, I think a lot of folks, not to veer off, but a lot of folks, for whatever reason, don't think that their story is enough or that people will care about it. And I think for me, it's not about, I don't worry about, is it enough? I know it's enough for the right people. And I know that it will impact, and it has impacted the people in the way that it was intended to.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Uh, you basically took the words out of my mouth. As far as like, I kind of shared this with some folks about this series of talk stories that I've kind of been heading up, and because I think we have similar philosophies where we bring folks on board, not because they have, developed some amazing patent or organization, or it's more of the just belief and knowing that everyone has a beautiful story to share. There's so much that we can learn from each other if we just give each other the time. And so, thank you for agreeing to come. I was just also reflecting upon, was it like 2 years ago, I think I first met Alex, his unofficial advising. And yeah, it's been a wonderful journey, and getting to reconnect with you in your last semester here. And hopefully it's not the end, and we can continue along this, journey of friendship as you go into grad school. And yeah, just one of the things I love doing is um, as I build relationships and strong friendships, exploring ways to collaborate with the folks, because it just makes it so much easier. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I A lot of folks from your class from PACE or Pache 430, Leadership for Social Change, are on here. So I don't know if you're reading the chat or not. They're just sharing, they're glad to be here. Thank you for the comments about the food. You know how to get us in the door. Thank you for encouraging other storytellers and uplifting voices who haven't been heard. So we're just sharing with you the gratitude that you share with us. So thank you so much. I'm gonna take one of your questions that you asked your folks. Um, and this is a loaded question again. Do you see yourself as your ancestors' wildest dreams? I
For
just
sure.
yeah.
For sure. I can honestly openly answer that. Um phew, uh for sure. I think For sure, I definitely see that.
Thank you.
And I say that because I go back to what what my mother had taught me, is that my education is something that no one can take away from me. And you know, I've been through some crazy amounts of trauma in my life, and I could have become a completely different person. Um, and I'm grateful to my foundation of not being or becoming the examples that I saw. Because I'm a true believer that like mirrors, people are mirrors. And um, it's really interesting because you know, being adopted, and I'll be really real about this. Up about 3 years ago, I finally really could observe my biological parents wherever they are, um, and not be upset. And I especially, I believe that they did the best they could with what they had. Um, and I had, for some of them, I saw them before I became a full-fledged adult, and for others, the other one of them, I saw them post that experience. Um, I think when I see them in their different seasons of their lives, I can hold them accountable in that experience. Um, last night I had a conversation with an auntie, um, and we talked about pretty much, if you hold on to things, like you're the one that's going to become sick. And for me, I I don't that's that philosophy for me doesn't work, because like I don't hold on to things. I'll remember things. I don't hold on to things. And I say that to say that's like, because people have even said to me like, um my advisor is actually probably the best person who's identified this quality about me, is that I don't do things where I cannot be my genuine self. So if I genuinely don't want to be around someone, I won't go to the event, because I can't genuinely be myself. It's not because I'm disrespectful. It's just I have nothing to contribute to that experience. And so going back to your initial question, yes, I totally am what my ancestors' wildest dreams. I believe that, um, to be quite frank, I really believe that my foundation truly gave me the tools necessary to navigate this world. And it was really up to me to really remember that, because um and I'll share something it's coming to me right now. um I've seen what money does to people. I've seen how it can make people do the worst, and I've seen how it makes people do the best. I remember sitting in front of my house, my childhood home, and it was bulldozed, and it was just rubble. And I remember um seeing even my pictures still in the rubble, and like digging through that, and I could feel the anxiety, and I could feel like everything that was rushing through me. um but I could also at the same time hear my mom, telling me that to process it, to feel this, but that I wasn't alone. Like maybe, yes, in the physical space, they were not there with me. Um, but my parents come to me in my dreams. So yeah, I definitely I know, and then I get signs from my parents all the time, because for me, I mean, I believe in that, and my parents know. I mean, even when my parents died, I when my mom died especially, I said, you have to come back to me. You have to come back to me. I need to know that wherever it is that you're going, that you're okay. So yeah, by all means, I am their wildest dreams and then some, because I'm a very colorful person. And so yeah, I rock it out.
Thank you. Thank you for just being so kind, honest, vulnerable with us today, sharing about your visions, sharing about how you still connect to your ancestors, to your parents. I just, one of the things I always think about, you kind of touched upon acknowledging, well, I gotta say, you practice some amazing introspection, reflection. So thank you for doing that. I constantly encourage folks to do that, and you've been doing that. And I think through the work that you're doing, you are bringing along your ancestors with you. And I know they'd be so proud and are proud of what you're doing and what you continue to do and what you will do. um that's just my general belief. More of like in my family, it's about the ancestors visit us as especially as they're about to transgress to the next stage of life. They come and say goodbye, and but there's so many ways that we get to reconnect with them, whether it's the lessons they taught us, whether it's mannerisms they had through other folks that we have uh, in our communities, in our life, in this journey. So thank you for just being so present. A couple comments from the audience I just wanted to share. Saying how strong and soft, Alex, you are. We wrap our arms around you. I mean, if we were in person, we would all be hugging right now. Um, also, love you, Alex. Many years ago, a colleague said, "We have lost the art of conversation. You've truly demonstrated how invaluable connections through loving, basic, heart-to-heart connections through Talk Story are." So doing some amazing work. Keep at it. It's going to guide you along wherever you go, because people will see the value of, you know, you, like, and how can you not love you? So thank you. Um, you One of my questions I always love to ask folks, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit, and I don't want to answer it for you, but how do you practice self-care, especially in this age of like just so much going on, and you've had a fascinating journey. How do you take care of yourself?
I've actually relearned, through this leadership, and nonprofit class, because I wasn't doing the best job, and I wouldn't say that I was getting burnt out. I was getting burnt out. I was unfocused, and it was just because, again, like, I didn't, everything that I have learned, I've picked it up along the way, and I haven't had the luxury of having an example. I had to be the example. And I say that a lot. Like, there is no Calvary coming to save me. I am the backup. I am, and my ancestors, and to some people I may be super crazy, but you'd be very surprised what my ancestors can do, even if you think they're on the other side. Like, you'd be very surprised. Um, I uh, you know, this class literally has taught me to really just stop. Even today, I'm my opening of my exhibit, and this all came out of a vision that I was like, no, 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 I can't do that. I'm definitely not ready for this. And then it for real came to me again, like in my face kind. And I said, okay, I really am ready for this. Um, I hold myself accountable, and what that means to me, it's in life, and if you want to actually do something, there's a mana exchange. So there's an energy exchange you have to undergo, because in order to do something, you have to be able to give something, and that can either be a part of yourself, or it will have to be something that you really love in order for that transformation to occur. And I first think about that because again, just because you want to do something, that doesn't mean anything. At the end of the day, everyone has a great idea. But what part of yourselves or what are you going to have to give of yourself to do that? And so I really think about that. I meditate about that because, you know, in the direction that I am moving and that I have been moving, I don't keep certain company. I don't, I'm very mindful of who I spend my time with. I'm very mindful of what I put into my mind because my mind is incredibly strong. I know who I am. I know what I am. And what I mean by that is that I speak about realms. I speak about dreams. I speak about signs because to people that may be very far out, this is who I've always been since I was a kid. Even when I was speaking to my parents and they didn't understand, they knew that I came from a bloodline of healers. They didn't really know what to do with that at the beginning. And I pretty much just said to them, this is who I am. Like, you cannot, if you say that you really love me, you have to understand that this is who I am. And so, you know, I joke about this a lot. The agreement basically was that I had to go to Catholic school. So I said, well, as long as there's breakfast, because they made breakfast burritos, I showed up every Sunday for the breakfast burritos. If there were no breakfast burritos, I was like, I'm ready to go. There's no reason for us to be here. Because again, as a child, even then, you had to bribe me with food, good food at that. Um, so yeah, it's about really to me holding yourself accountable and but really identifying what about yourself are you willing to let go of.
Thank you. Thank you for just yeah, you not only, compartmentalizing, but also part of that self-care technique is if someone is just honestly toxic, well, why should they be in your realm? Why should it be someone that you consistently, at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself before you can kind of engage with others. So thank you for just pointing out. I love talking about this just because I feel like we're always going, and we rarely, especially for folks who are just so giving and loving and want to, do such amazing work in this community, within their communities. Sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves. So thank you for practicing that, recentering yourself, reminding us. Oh, we have a comment or question from our audience. Hey, Alex, amazing job today. Just had a quick question. It's amazing that you share your story and that everyone has a story to tell. How do you make sure that you have the mental space and energy to hear the stories that others share?
I take time. I mean, I think for me, like the biggest part is about really making sure that I um take time to speak with my gods. So like when I wake up, I speak to my gods and we tug it out. You know, sometimes that may be I don't have 30 minutes in the morning, but I do my regular prayers and then we talking while we walking. And you know, sometimes it's really just about, you know, again, I put offerings out. So putting a cup of water or whatever it is that my akua or my ancestor really loved. Um, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And such a another important self-care technique right there. I don't know if I know in for I don't know if you ever find that the conversations themselves can become a form of self-care, the opportunity to connect with someone on such a deeper level. I know for me, that's part of why I continue to do these. Just you never know where these conversations are going to go, and it's been really beautiful to just kind of develop that relationship further. So
I agree with you 100%. It's really funny because I think Tiffany in her talk story identified, she called me out the best. I think when you meet me, you may think I'm very abrasive or very direct, but if you really spend time around me, you realize that I wear my heart on my sleeve. And it's probably was the most accurate read about me because I'm an incredibly kind, generous, loving person. It's just you know, and I'm very open about this. I've said this also on the air. I see people very differently. Like I even when I walk around in spaces, I see things very differently. I see code, I see colors, I see energy moving back and forth. And so for me, it's I have to navigate that sometimes. And that's why I go back to if I know I don't have anything positive to say, I won't even put myself in the situation because as much as you're trying to tell me no, everything else around you is telling me yes. And I trust my intuition so strongly that no.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say, yeah, I agree with Tiffany's assessment. But yeah, the longer I've gotten to know you, Alex, it's more of like want to keep talking to you, but you're moving so fast. You're doing so many things. Like, so I greatly appreciate you for making the time today for this gathering. I one of my final questions I have is just so this is part of your practicum at the Matsunaga Institute for your undergrad certificate in peace studies. I wonder if you have any words of wisdom for future practicum students.
Go for it. Definitely take Zephanie's class. She will totally change your world. She will challenge you. She'll also call you out, which I think is probably the best part. I think a lot of people walk in there with their own agendas, and she'll break you down and she'll rebuild you back up. Um, Realize that it's not a challenge. She really tries to empower people to be the best leaders that they can possibly be. But again, I go back to say that you have to really identify for yourself what that energy exchange is. Because a lot of people say one thing and that's not really at all exactly, they don't align. You know, and it takes me back to like a roommate that I used to have. She would present a face, but her actions definitely did not. And so, you know, it's sometimes it's not necessarily about calling them out directly, but about letting them know that you see them for who and what they are, and also reminding them that you got receipts in case sometimes you got to bring them back out.
Thank you, thank you. And for folks who, just to give a little more context, the instructor's name is Stephanie Smith Eisenstadt. And since we're giving a little plug for her, she's teaching the negotiation class this summer. I know it's online asynchronous, but I do know that she commits her full heart into the course as well. There will be 3 synchronous sessions as well. So if you're looking for summer classes, I think it's summer session 1 or so. So yeah.
Also want to also
Yeah.
plug Kumu Maya's class again. Leadership and nonprofit. That ooh, this class particularly came to me at the right time. You know, I didn't realize that all of my classes that I'm taking now have all been introspective journey classes. And so for me, I'm a very introspective person. What I needed to learn was how to be very focused about it in a way that I could be resilient and really not have to be always wearing this armor. And I'm grateful that as the transformation of this is for me has happened, is that I've learned that I can take that armor off and I'm still strong. I'm still resilient. I'm still all of these things. It's just now I definitely have a better toolkit of how to really learn to collaborate in a way that is in alignment more so with what's in my mind, my actions, and really trying to identify what who and what my partners are for a common goal, because that's right now where the end of the semester is teaching me to really, and through this particular class I haven't necessarily, I haven't really, I remember when we started this, she asked us, what are you trying to learn from this? And I was like, I'm trying to learn how to not lose my shit. Like I'm truly trying to learn how to not lose my shit on someone, because people are funny, you know, and I even tell my team, you know, I always let people be themselves because people can't help themselves. People will always people. People will tell you one thing, but if they're really not who and what they say they are, their true selves will always manifest. And I'm here for it. This class definitely will let you see that. And it gives you the tools to identify within yourself if you are not who and what you're presenting to really do. And you know, yeah, for me, I've been very grateful for this because it I've really focused a lot on being a leader. But as anyone who really listens to my shows, I'm very open about my faults. I'm very open about what my shortcomings are, but this class has allowed me to take stock of them and to really build upon them and how I can move forward with that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And also I'll give a little context. Dr. Maya Sator is one of the faculty at the Mānoa Institute. The class is PACE 430 or PACHI 430, Leadership for Social Change. It's also being offered in the fall semester, hybrid-wise, online and synchronously, which I know sometimes folks are a little bit cautious about that, but I I feel like everything just kind of came together because I know that this is the year that Maya came back to teaching and she had truly been missing being in the classroom. And so I can imagine she's just like you've taken so much, you know, guidance and leadership through this. I imagine she has also greatly appreciated being in community with you all. So thank you for just being so open. And then she also she runs the practicum, the internship for the Mānoa Institute. She's a faculty for that. So yeah, so just a lot of wonderful opportunities to connect and grow. Um, I just wanted to ask if you have any questions, turn the tables a little bit. Um, just any final thoughts or questions?
For me, I guess I really would just want to tell folks, again, someone from the boonies who couldn't even speak English, with a choke amount of trauma, and just interesting things. If I can make it, you can make it too. Um, you know, and I think one thing that I definitely say that I learned this semester from Kumumaya, I want to apologize right off the bat because you're going to listen to one of these talk stories, and I'm going to refer to you as Kumumaya Sotomayor because I think I was channeling you in that space, like as a Supreme Court justice. So just FYI, I want to like definitely clarify that. Um, you can ask for help. Like asking for help, there's zero shame in asking for help. I think that, you know, if you can truly ask for help, like, you know, I had lots of shame growing up asking for help. Um, because I also didn't know how to ask for help. And you know, there was a time where I was so busy and focused on making money because I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to, I felt that if I had money that I would be safe because I had a really crazy relationship with money. Um, ask for help if you need help. You know, I definitely um, you know, Jose checking in. Jose, I don't have time right now. I don't have time to check in right now. What do you need from me? Give me a bullet list of what it is you need from me. Be grateful for those folks. I've been very grateful that I've been able to text Kumu at 8 o'clock the day before an assignment's due. Is there something due? Because you know, it's just I up until last 2 weeks, I've been working 7 days a week for I don't know how long. Um, and I think the last thing I would say is take time for yourself, boo. Like I definitely one of those people that I have had to like schedule it. Um, take time for yourself. I for the first time was able to pave my own way 100% for a trip, and it was the most exhilarating, eye-opening, fulfilling experience because I traveled by myself. with no one else's agenda, and I did everything that I wanted to do. I was able to feel every experience and bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself.
Thank you, Alex. It's I'll just read some of the comments. You're amazing to listen to. Auntie Maya says you're not the first person to do that, Alex. So she's she's I think more than happy to be connected to Sotomayor. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for just your beautiful compassion, empathy, and really just the love that you give everything you commit to. And you can definitely, for anyone who, listens to your food and talk story journey, you've created a beautiful collection of some deep conversations. Um, it's a journey and you got to look at the signs. And one of the recent words that was introduced to me this past semester was a Japanese term called keicho that blends two words around K, which means to lean, and cho, which means to listen. And refers really to the attitude of listening to the other person by leaning into one's heart along with the senses of the ears and the eyes, which makes it possible for the listener to put their own thoughts aside once and try to first accept and then empathize with what the speaker says. And it's considered to be a process of building relationships of trust with the other person, learning about oneself anew and growing. And it's I definitely got that from not only today's talk, but also just from the work that you're doing. So thank you for doing that. I know that folks here, have said some things, but also, and I know being on the radio, you don't get that automatic feedback from folks after you do one of your real talks. But I can certainly attest for myself. I've certainly felt a lot during this journey of yours. So thank you for bringing us along your peace building journey. So thank you so much for all the work that you continue to do.